Right in under the gun. What is up, everybody? We are live. Man, it has been felt like it's been a while.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
uh,
because we kinda skipped out on Saturday. We were getting a little cozy, and we said, "Do we wanna do it tonight?" We did, but then we were like, "Oh, we just wanna lay here for a minute." So
hey, we made an audible. We made an executive decision to just. That's the cool thing about being together and having these kind of moments. It's like you can make that decision and say, you know what, I'm fine. I'm good without um doing a live show tonight. They're usually pretty fun. Like we love doing these, but it's okay to sometimes, like, again, know yourself, self reflect, and say, okay, we don't need it tonight. All right. Thank you for tuning in this evening. We got a wonderful show lined up for you guys. Hello, my name is Gabe Leal,
And I'm Yvette Richardson,
and welcome to the Unwrap Love Show.
where we peel back the layers of love and relationships.
So
Buckle
buckle
up
up
for
for love,
loving.
everyone. There we go. We're getting the hang of it. Better than expected. And
Yes.
so tonight we got a really great topic we're going to be discussing. Um,
Yes, it is going to be called Love on Hold. So, how long to wait after a breakup? How
y-
long do you wait?
yeah. So in our last show, we read just real quick recap. We talked about how to rekindle the relationship, that sort of thing. This kind of goes to the next step, like what happens if it doesn't work, right? Which is usually the next step where people have to figure out it's time to probably go our separate ways. And when you do, there are a lot of things that are involved when you do make that decision. And then there's a lot of factors like what do you do before, because you have friends, and I'm pretty sure you have friends too, who've told you, just get back on the horse, right? You could just go back, and that's the way you're going to
Yes.
get over it. It's just to get yourself back acclimated in there and see what happens. And that's not
Yeah.
always the case.
A lot of people say, well, just go out with somebody else and that'll help you get over your ex. So you might have that mentality that you just jump into another relationship so it makes you feel better and you can forget all about the person that you were with before. That doesn't always work.
Absolutely not. I'll second that. Um, I concur, doctor. But honestly, one of the hardest things to do is to, especially when your emotions are involved, to move past somebody so quickly, so callously. There's a lot of things that are involved when you decide to break up with somebody, and this is what we're going to discuss tonight: is how long you should actually wait before jumping back into the dating pool or just finding a new relationship. These are, again, this is another it's love is the cycle, and it doesn't, for some people it's a continuous cycle. For others it's just one big loop because they find that person for them. So that's what we want you to do ultimately, is find that person, but we're going to help you navigate that way. So
And it's different for everybody. There's no one size fits all. Everybody, has to follow the same, thing. It can be different for everyone. But the important thing is that you heal. So whatever it was that you went through in your previous relationship, it is very, very important that you get past it, that you've learned to move on, that you've healed from whatever took place and that relationship. And then you also reflect on the things that were good and bad. And so for some people, it might take, a couple weeks. Some people might take a month. Some people could take up to a year or even longer. So it just depends on the person.
yeah, and again, when you're dealing with emotions, there's a lot of things that are involved. um, when you break up with somebody, right? There's a detachment that has to happen, and there are things that you go through. You have to develop what coping mechanisms, right? I mean, those are big ways to find yourself in a space to move past uh, being away. It's equating it very much to like grieving for somebody in death. Like, of course, with death, it is the ultimate goodbye. It's the final, and it's very similar. I mean, you have to detach yourself emotionally from someone else who you truly had feelings for, and you did have an unrequited love for that person, and no, it's no longer there. So you have to go through and It sucks to hurt, but you have to feel the pain.
Yeah. And some people might even decide never to get back that out there again. That's their choice. Maybe they decide to be single for the rest of their life, and that's fine. You can be happy and be single. You don't have to be in a relationship to complete yourself. You can be a complete and whole person by yourself. But if you choose to share your life with someone and you want that companionship, then it is important to understand that you've got to heal. You've got to figure out, more about yourself, maybe what went right, what went wrong. Do that self reflection. And I know personally for myself, when I was in my 20s and I was dating, I hopped. I went from one to the next. I would be so upset over that relationship that I jumped in. I did what most people say, like, just, get yourself back out there. And I did. And I went from one to the next, and I couldn't figure out why. I was falling into these traps of similarities between relationships, or, things that didn't always work out. And so there was a lot that I didn't take the time to just stop, reflect, and figure out what was right, what was wrong, and what I really wanted in a relationship. I believe I moved a lot, very fast, very quickly from one to the next, and didn't give myself breathing room to heal and to figure out what I really wanted and needed in a partner.
Yeah, and not just the area of time to heal, but then you also have to remember, some of these relationships are very lasting. You might be in a relationship with somebody for like a year and a half, 2 years. Like it's not easy to walk away um, from something like that and just say, okay, I can. I feel like sometimes when you do and you find yourself like in those positions where you're hopping from one relationship to the next, you compromise a lot of things. We'll get into a little bit more on that, but I feel like when you take the time to properly sit back and evaluate things, um, you give yourself the opportunity to start, yeah, feeling those hard emotions, but that through that pain, that's where you find the true healing is through the pain and having to go through it, not by not by supplementing it with just somebody else and them giving you, I don't know, superficial love. It seems like for most of the times, like I'm not saying it happens all the time. There's exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, there are a lot of people that, holy crap,
We
please,
got some loud thunder. I saw the lightning and I was wondering, and then all of a sudden it
whoa.
crashed.
Jump for a minute there. I'm looking into the camera and not paying attention, and you just hear it. Um, but yeah, that's just one of the things when I sit and reflect on my own person, just as my own personal journey. But how I found myself in an area to actually go back out and start dating again, start healing. It took for me feeling that the awful, crappy part that we all like try to avoid, and it sucks that it has to happen. But it's just the same. It's again, it's the balance part of the happiness, right? When you were in a relationship with somebody and you're so happy, you feel all these wonderful emotions. That's like the other side of the seesaw. Remember, there's if as it goes up, it has to come back down sometimes for some people. And the good ones, they find the balance and they sit on the beam perfectly well. And everybody, they teeter and they totter and they have to figure that out. And it sucks, but that's just what the nature of sometimes love is in dealing in relationships.
Yeah, I think self journaling is a good way, like writing out how you feel, putting it on paper, and then finding someone you can talk to, sharing, even letting that person know what went right, what went wrong, your feelings. You have to sometimes grieve over it before you can move on and accept that it's not there anymore, that that person wasn't your person. And so, it might even be in a support group. There's some great online support groups
Yeah.
on Facebook. Like, there's lots of them. I know a lot of the younger generation doesn't use Facebook as much, but people our age and a little bit younger than us and older than us do go to Facebook, and there are some amazing support groups on there, people that care, and you can go to groups of just men, groups of just women, if you don't want, to talk to the other sex, whoever it was that you were dating. And then, if you want open dialogue with people that, you typically date, you can talk to them as well. Like, there's some really good support groups for people that are separated, people that are divorced, people just not, in a relationship anymore. And it's great support. I've been there. I don't even know how many groups I'm a part of, but I went there a lot after my last marriage because I struggled. I really struggled with being single again and what that was like. And I'd been with someone, for was it 12 years, and so to go to back to the single life, it was different, and I needed that support. So being able to talk to people and find even support groups online is a huge help in waiting it out, and then deciding what it is that you want the next time around if you choose to date again. Coming up with that list, even just the top 10 things that you want in a relationship can definitely help you keep your eyes open to what it is that you want so that you don't repeat the same patterns and same cycles of dating similar people that were maybe not the healthiest type of relationship for you.
Yeah. And there are just a few things that, again, you can do. Like she's saying, support groups, right? You know, trust in people that you know, friends, family, just confide in them. Try not to, I mean, the hard part is seeking good advice or wisdom from somebody, good counsel without having judgment.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
sometimes it's some of those things, or maybe you have to go see a therapist. Maybe it is time to seek professional help in some of these instances, um, because it's very hard to open up and be vulnerable, and especially when you've been in a loving, caring relationship with somebody for so long, and you know, you don't want to you don't want to just leave all that behind without finding what it was deep inside internally, because it's usually when there's a breakup, there's usually two parts to it. And you have to internally find what it was for you that you need to maybe look at it, concentrate on, um, so that again you don't go into another relationship and they're not the same. You break the patterns, you break the cycles that you've been going through. So maybe that it works for you in the next relationship. Those are always keys when you're talking about reevaluating yourself. Like those are keys to finding growth and development. Those are the things that are going to harness you to moving to the next step in your journey. I mean, you gotta allow yourself to be emotionally available to be able to again to explore what it is that caused a lot of this hurt and pain. And even if it's within the other person, like if it a lot of it lays on the other person, you still have to find yourself a little grace and forgiveness, because we are our own worst critics sometimes, and we can be the harshest on ourselves. And just being able to say, okay, I'm okay now. I realize that there were a lot of mistakes I made. There are a lot of things that I could have done better, and you take those into you going into the next relationship so that you don't compare them to your past. That's a hard one to do, is to move forward in a relationship and not be comparative of what you just came from. I mean, that's why I say some people, they compromise things because they simply think, well, I just have to do the opposite of what I did in my last relationship and things will be better. It's not always the case. It's you internally healing first, that is a key element of whether or not I think the next relationship will be more successful.
Absolutely. And also, what he said about like taking on whatever it was in your previous relationship and bringing it into this next one can absolutely happen. Especially if there were certain things that took place in the relationship and then you're in this new one and all of a sudden it's like what do you call it whenever you're staring and waiting and just anticipating that something bad is going to happen, and that's all you think about and look at,
Oh,
and you can
yes.
self-sabotage the new relationship because then all of a sudden you start accusing that person of doing something that they're not even doing. And so you start bringing in that baggage and it can mess up a new relationship where there might not even be any problems in the beginning. All of a sudden you start seeing these red flags immediately. Like for example, the whole love bombing thing. People think, oh, well, the last guy did all this stuff and he love bombed me and he ended up being a narcissist and manipulator and was gaslighting me. And so if anybody does all of those same things up front or similar things and they try to love bomb me in the beginning, then he's going to be just like the other one. And so you jump to conclusions, you don't even, continue the relationship, you break up, and it could have been something beautiful, but instead you compared the next relationship to your previous one. Everybody's different, and just because somebody does something in a way similar doesn't mean that they're going to be exactly the same. So you need to make sure that you heal first so that you're not looking for all these red flags in the beginning of a relationship either.
Yeah, and one of the things that I was looking for whenever when we discussed and to look into this topic was like timetables, right? Because that's what people want. People really want you to look at a scalable timetable and saying, "Oh, you should wait X amount of time, 6 months or 3 months or a year." Um and just the consensus was it depends on the factors of how your relationship was with that person and how strong the emotions were. I mean, you can have a 3-month whirlwind little hey Anthony, whirlwind relationship with someone and feel so emotionally connected to them, and then it just as quickly as it happened, as quickly it ends, and you're still left hurting. You're still left having all these feelings. So I mean, there just because it's a time elapsed sort of deal where people like we were together for a year and a half, and you're like, oh, 2 years, 5 years. I mean, to me, like I said, love has no timetable. You can have all the experiences, all the emotions, and even such a short amount of time. So there there is no timetable. It's fractional. It depends again on so many variables on how long you should actually wait to do this. Um, some people again, it's not recommended because I don't know how many people will actually find the time to heal, but some people do step into brand new relationships and they find that person, they find that one. I mean, our situation was that we were both in situations in relationships that we wanted out of. We knew they weren't the people for us. And we even felt like taking a step back would help. And fate brought it together and we came together again within a short amount of time. I mean, I that's why I say I don't always say there's a timetable. It can happen because I got out of a bad relationship and only a few months later, boom, I find this woman and we are on the cusp of being together for a whole year now, a blissful year. Okay. So I know what people might think or say and what expectations can be, but man, it takes a lot just to know yourself. And I think that was the reason why we could eventually hop back into something else because we knew
Yeah, because
ourselves.
initially, when you first separated from your ex, like how long did you wait before you started dating?
Okay, so like with my ex, I was in my first so my long-term relationship I was in that one for 24 years. Okay. I waited essentially a year and probably like a year and a half before I even thought about the process of dating. And even when I did step into the dating pool, I put my toe in and got right back out. Like it was immediate. And I probably waited another 3 to 4 months before I decided I was gonna go back in, and this time I was gonna dive in, head first. So overall, it was almost 2 years before I felt like I wanted to get back into dating and getting to know somebody. Um, so a lot of that time though was spent doing the steps that I'm talking about, like doing the introspective work, loving yourself, learning the self care, spending the time with me, getting to know me, feeling comfortable with my life and my situation, and then finding a way to move forward from that. It took a lot of time to do that, but I knew I put in the work. So when I jumped back into dating, got back out of one thing, got back into another, got back out of another one, I always knew myself. That never got lost. My individuality never got lost on moving from one person to the next. So I knew that I was never anchored to any of them until I found this woman. But other than that, I mean, it's it was part of how I knew I was ready because I knew I'd healed. I knew that no matter what, and I got into another relationship and it was only a short term deal, I knew I'd be fine. I knew I'd be fine. I knew how I could, again, I knew my coping mechanisms. I knew the things that I needed to do, go back to myself and then recenter before I jump back into doing it again. So yeah, it took me almost 2 years to get to that even first step, but those 2 years were crucial for me to be able to finally move forward and find the true love again. So,
Yeah, it took me it was about a year before I got into a relationship
oh, hi, Sarah.
after Hi Sarah. It was about a year after my marriage had ended that I decided to get into a relationship, and that lasted about 2 months. And then I said, "Oh heck no, I don't want to be with anybody." So yeah, that relationship was horrible. So I got out of that one, and I said, maybe I need more time to myself, and I don't know if I even want to be with anybody. So broke that off after 2 months, and then I stayed out of the dating pool for 7 months. And when I went back in, there was just, just a few guys I was talking to, but nothing substantial. And I was like, I'm just not even having fun with this. And I don't know. I didn't know if I was going to stay on it longer. I was focusing more on school. And then here comes Gabe. And so yeah, he kinda stole my attention. So I started to talk to him, and at first I was like, "I'm not gonna be texting all day, like, that's stupid."
yeah.
I have my time. I'm going to work. I'm in school. I don't have time for this. I'll text him here and there, but I was so enraptured by his words that I just continued. And I was like, found myself texting way too much. Like my students were looking at me going, Miss, why you keep smiling? So yeah. So he kind of got me at hello. And so, yeah, we're almost a year.
Year.
March
March 1st.
31st will be a year.
1 year since
Yeah.
we like officially made it official. Official,
So,
official.
but I think that time by myself, the time of self-reflection, the time of, working on who I am as a person, being happy with myself, that was a time that I really needed before I got out there and started dating again. And so I think it was very different from, back in my 20s and early 30s when I just went from relationship to relationship and thought that that was the best way to get over somebody. And I realize now, in my 40s, that's not the way to go. Like, you have to give some space and breathing room before you jump into another one.
Yeah. So I'm going to take a brief moment, say hello to our beautiful, wonderful audience. Hello. Yes, Sarah.
Mhm.
Big facts. Emotions do run deep. Mr. Dan Roth. Hello. How you doing, sir? It drives me nuts. And then, of
Oh,
course,
sorry, Dan.
and it says almost as much as that table. Good. Rachel, watching over on YouTube.
Hey,
Thank
Rachel.
you. And it was love. It
Yes, it
really
was.
was. Um, and that was, again, it goes back to taking the time to focus on myself, the things that I had lost, the things that I was noticing that I was gaining. There was so much in having that time in limbo and just waiting and going through it, that prepared me for the next phase of my life. It's why I'm here now. It's why I feel like I've been more prepared than I ever been to be with somebody. Um, I just saw it as a way for me to really just concentrate on, again, fixing what I felt I
What
was
are some
short of.
things that you did? So,
Well, number one, uh, the things that I really felt that I needed to work on was communication, because I felt like I was lacking when it came to terms of having a conversation, being with somebody and being able to share openly. I was able to do it with complete strangers, like people I'm meeting for the first time. I would book people to come on and have interviews, and we would just talk, and boom, instant connection. I was okay with it. I could just roll. It was difficult, and it shouldn't have been, to speak with the person that you're in a relationship with. You ought to be able to just come up and open up and share anything. Um, so that was the number one thing. Is I said I have to communicate better. I have to find a way to share the things that I needed to share. And then the other thing that I really needed to focus on was also learning how to love myself. Like, give time for me. That's where I went to find ways to go running, because I found myself, and I would find rhythm, and I would find, I don't know, my vibrations, my energy, everything just was shifted more when I was there. I gave myself time again to eat better, to try to live a healthier lifestyle. Just taking care of me for a little bit. I've always been a caretaker. I was always someone who was giving of everything that I had to somebody else. And it took a little while for me to say, okay, I got to do this for me. I got to do a little, like, somebody, again, I heard a saying, and people have probably heard it millions of times, but it's, you got to put the mask on yourself first before you can help anybody else in the plane scenario, right? You put it on, oxygen mask on, you get breathing, and then you can get your bearings about you, have a more cognitive approach to everything around you, and then to help other people. That's how I had to do it for myself if I was going to be able to, again, hopefully one day find a partner, which I eventually did. But I had to go do those things. And so those were two big things that I know that I had to focus on, because I felt in my past relationships they were shortcomings. So that's what it was for me. What about you?
so for me, I didn't know what I wanted to do really in life. And so I kind of had stopped. I had lost myself in my marriage where I felt like, I wasn't me at home anymore. I was me in the classroom. I was energetic and outgoing and fun in the classroom. But when I would come home, I felt like I was this boring person that never spoke. And I became very introverted and I couldn't really express my emotions and my thoughts, and it was really difficult and challenging. And so I knew that I wanted to be a different person. And then, of course, like bipolar hit me. And so, I was dealing with that. And I was like, there's no way, one, anyone's going to ever love me having this mental illness. And two, I don't even love me right now. So I've got to figure out myself and my life. So I knew I needed to be stable. I needed to get on the right medication. And so I focused on doing that, going to all my psychiatry appointments, seeing a therapist. I was on support groups online, and I was constantly talking about how bipolar screwed up my marriage. And I would tell people, like, bipolar ruined my life. It ruined my life. I was married, and then now bipolar comes and my marriage is over. My life is over. And I had people talk to me in the support groups. And this is why I say support groups are amazing. But they're like, no, it didn't. And I was like, what are you talking about? Yes, it did. And they said, no, that didn't do it. There had to be other things involved. And so they talked me through it. They got me to open up. I started to express myself more. And I started realizing, no, there was a lot more to it um, than the bipolar. And then I kind of realized that maybe that was a blessing instead of a curse. And so I started to look at and I changed my whole perspective on myself. I changed everything, the way that I thought about myself and the way I was putting myself down, and I was thinking the worst of myself, and it wasn't true. I was believing all of the lies. And so I had to transform. And it took being around family, around friends, and getting the support that I needed. And so that's what I was focusing on while I was away from, my marriage. And so, I did that. And then I said, you know what? Maybe I can handle going back to college. Maybe I need more education. I was fighting it at first and I was like, I'm too stupid. I can't do it. My memory sucks and bipolar screwed up my brain. And so I thought that for a while and I was like, people that have bipolar are actually creative. Maybe there's something in my brain that it's going to help me. And so I slowly convinced myself to go back to school. So I started working on my master's and then I realized oh my gosh, I'm making an A and another A and another A. I have a 4.0 right now and I'm like, well, I'm pretty smart. So, it was taking that and gaining back and learning who I was again. I had lost my identity. And so I had to relearn who I was now, not being married, having mental illness, you know, what did I still love about myself? Do I need to love myself more? And so I had to work on all of that, my thoughts, being able to express myself. And I mean, it was a bunch of stuff. And so I felt like I was completely ready when I met Gabe. And, I still had that fear of opening up, but I tried it on him and the first time was a little scary. But when he just completely validated me and made me feel like what I had to say was important and had value, he has helped, even though I felt like I was healed, honestly, he's helped me heal even more, even further, just being in the relationship with him. Because I feel like I'm more myself than I have ever been in my entire life. So my identity was there, but it's just kind of flourished and just it's a million times better just being with him
Yeah.
because he helps encourage me to be myself.
Yeah.
And so it's great. I love who I am now compared to the way I used to be.
Yeah. I mean, even like Rachel saying, I love you, girl. You have some fight in you.
Thank you,
Sarah
Rachel.
was just saying, as an introvert, I naturally don't reach out to have conversations, even though I can easily hold one. So if I do reach out, it's a sign I feel something exactly right. That's that intuition, right? You find that thing, and of course, yeah, she found out she's a badass woman. I tell her all the time she's a badass woman. So
Thank you,
it's
Sarah.
all about alignment. Exactly. You and the thing is, in discussing breaking up with somebody, I mean, you do have to. I want people to understand that you should go through all the stages that happen. Like, so it's the grieving, it's the sadness, it's the crying. Do it, feel it. There's growth in that. Like, I cry tears sometimes. I just because I got out of a relationship and I knew myself and I felt like I was still a good person and everything else. I still cried. I still felt emotion. And I think that's what we should all do is like, hey, look, it's hard. Again, it's hard. Walking away from somebody, you're going to have some kind of emotion. Like if you're walking away from somebody and it's indifference, honestly, I don't think you ever love that person. If you have some kind of emotion, whether it's anger, it's sadness, bitterness, or just jealous, whatever it was that you feel when you walk away from it, that was at least an indicator that you had something. Was it right for you? Absolutely not, because you're walking away from each other. But you are there to feel all of it, and that's the thing. That's the thing about human emotion is we got to allow ourselves to go through all these cycles of feeling all these things, so that we know when the good stuff comes, why it matters. why it's important. Reflect on it. It's like, I remember the days that I cried. I remember the days I was alone. I tell her all the time, I remember just being alone, and how much I thought that at that time it sucked. Because in my mind, deep down, it did for me. I was okay with it, but would rather, I'm just somebody who I would rather be with the right person. And that's what I envisioned for myself. And it happened. It manifested into that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I had to go through the gauntlet of feeling all the bad stuff so that I could understand why all the good stuff felt so good and why it was important again. So I want people to understand that, like, feel it.
Yeah.
It's just part of the cycle, and
It is. And you can discover so much more about who you are in that process of grieving. And like I had to do, I was sitting there blaming myself over and over. And I had to go through that and talk to people and work through it before I kind of understood where I was and what I wanted in the future.
yeah, because that's gonna honestly, that's gonna be the foundation. Going through all that stuff is going to be the foundation of what, when it does work, when it is the one that, like, all the things that he does or she does so much differently from everything else in your past, because you know exactly what were the wrong things for you. You felt them, you went through it, you had all the things that you could possibly don't want to happen to you, and you're like, okay, now I found the person that makes that all feel good, makes that all right.
Makes sense.
There you go, makes
It
sense.
makes sense.
And that's just why some people, they hold on too long. Some people jump back into relationships so quickly because, again, they need a really quick validation sometimes. They do it out of spite. They do it, whatever the reasons are. Like, that's why, like we talked about as well, looking into why it's hard to get into rebound relationships, because some of these things, you compromise yourself. So, like, in terms of saying someone, well, I didn't have sex with the person in my last relationship. This time I'm going to have sex with them. And then who knows, happen. You create another life. I'm just saying, these are just byproducts of stuff that can happen like that when you make those kinds of thoughts in your mind. It's like, it didn't work the way I did it in my previous relationships. It just didn't work. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm all for looking at things logically and saying, okay, this is why it didn't work. But just saying, and internalizing or rationalizing it really quickly because it was the opposite of what you did. Like, I think that's where you're headed towards trouble. It's why I tell people, like, man, give yourself a breather, go take a damn cold shower, go do something, spend time away, um, and really, really think about what it is, right? When we talk about getting, think about what it is and the next step is for you. Define all that stuff. Um, because I think that's where this is where I always talk about the three R's for me, where they were really important, right? Um, when I stepped away, again, I had to reevaluate everything. That was the first R. I had to reevaluate everything in my life. Then I had to go back and I had to, simply recalibrate myself, like what it was that I needed, right? I had to find my middle ground, my zero, my north, whatever you want to call it, but I had to recalibrate that was for me. And then it gave me the next R, which was reinvigorate, re-energize. Like, it gave me the strength to go back out and want to do all these things again. So it's why I was like, you got to take those moments, and you really got to take the you got to give yourself whatever it is that you feel you need before you step into something else. Cause I'm telling you, you're setting yourself up for a lot more heartache, and you're just gonna, that's why I think I talk to people sometimes when we have conversations, like, I'm ready to give up on love. Love is stupid. Love sucks. I mean, we even felt it at some point, right? We were like, love sucks. Yeah, love sucks, but you know what? Uh, when you again leave your heart open for the right opportunities for the right person, sometimes wonderful things happen. You just can't say though, "Well, I got hurt once or twice and that's it. I'm done. I don't want to ever do this again." you know, you're going to be in trouble, man. You're going to be in trouble because life has its way of finding, you might not be looking for it, but it shows up, whether it's 5 weeks from now, 5 years from now, 10 years, whatever it is. You walk in and whatever, for whatever reason, there's a connection and you're going to fight nature, what your body, what your mind, what your heart start wanting. And as much as you want to shut it off, as much as you try, it's still going to be there. It just does. That's the way your heart, that's the way the soul, that's the way love works. So, yep, that's how it's been for me, baby. Yeah, see, I know, and I know, it's a hard, again, it's a hard balance. And what Sarah's saying, teetering on giving up and then being open to it. Um, but the thing that I will tell you this, um, if you give up on it though, you'll never know. You'll never know whether or not you would find that person for you. Like, there's opportunities that pass by, and yeah, there's a lot of scumbags, there's a lot of jerk offs, there's a lot of assholes that you probably have to wade through. That's on both sides of the field. I'm just telling you, that's on both sides of the field. That's not just one. I know, and it feels terrible, women. I know it does. Because the guys are a lot worse at doing this, but there are women that do this too, and they make you feel that way. But you got to keep an open mind. Don't shut your heart off from love. That is, to me, the great equalizer in life. You find love, man, it changes your perspective on everything, even on your worst days. Like, even on my worst days, I know that I have her to come home to. Man, it feels good. Man, it feels good to go, oh gosh. Um, I know it does. I know. That's
Oh, I got ghosted plenty of times, plenty of times. Like there was one guy I was talking to, and we went out on we had our second date. And so we were even talking about seeing each other again, like this. And he was good looking, and we had great conversation. And he even texted me that night telling me how amazing I was. And then he didn't text me anymore. And I was like, what happened? So about a week goes by and I'm like, so how are you? Is everything okay? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. And that was it. I was like,
oh no.
okay. So, some of the guys even lead you on in the beginning and then ghost you. And I think I would have been okay if I had just given up. Like Gabe's like, don't give up on love. Like, I think I would have been okay being by myself and being around my family. And I've got a lot of love. And I even have a friend that's completely single and she's never had a boyfriend and she is like totally happy, very fine. People can live that way. And I think it's okay to do that. Like there's no I mean, big issue with that. You can still be happy. But if I was given the choice now after meeting Gabe, like, no. I'm thankful to God that I met him because I can't see my life that way anymore. Like I think once you have a taste of what real love is, you don't want to be single ever again. Cuz
Well,
I
and
don't.
and and I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. Even that person, even that one person, I'm sure at one point they had somebody in their life that they loved, right? Some people, that's all it is. It's one person. And whether or not you're in the right place at the right time for the both of you, it, that's just sometimes how the cards lay. Sometimes they're like, you know what? There will never be anybody else that compares to this other individual. I'm done. And that's okay. I like I say though, I tell people, if you're really seeking it, if you're really looking for it, if you want love and you want affection and you want all the wonderful things, the bubblies, the butterflies, the all the good
Which
stuff.
I still get.
I said,
I still get butterflies with them.
you got to wait through all the frogs, the kisses, the ghosts, the zombies. Yeah. um, they
Yeah.
always come back, but
I've had
they're
a few zombies. Yep.
yeah. There you go. But it is. It takes a lot. It takes a lot for you to trust again. Um, and it again, I'm not saying this is an easy thing. Nothing easy. I don't think anything easy is always worth the value. It's always you taking the work. It's you know what happens when you spend you buy something on the on I don't know, I'm gonna just say this as it is, but you decide buy something on Temu for $5 and then you buy something more better built somewhere, let's just say at a hardware store. There's a difference. Like one works better than the other, I promise you. Um I'm too I'm too old for this, y'all. Hey, that's the Danny Glover line in Lethal Weapon. I'm too old for this shit, right? You're not too old for it. Trust me. Love happens at any age. So again, some people get lucky at 18, 13, 15. They find a person they spend 70 fucking years with.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know a
uh,
couple of couples
uh,
at my school that are like that, and I really think they have the potential to be lifetime partners. Like they're just the cutest couples. I've met a few at my school, and I'm hoping for them.
yeah. And then you
Yeah.
find couples that don't find love until they're 70. In their golden age, they might not get very long together, but I guarantee you, they would not trade it for the world to not lose another minute without having that person in their lives. So I'm saying it sucks. It hurts. Love and all, just love in general, but that's the balance. You have to have a balance. I'm sorry, love has a balance, just like anything else in this world. Time has a balance, money has a balance, love has a balance. When you're feeling good and everything is wonderful in life, the pendulum is swinging high, and then it goes back the other way, and it feels like crap. But again, they both have a place, and they both have lessons that you learn. When you're in the high, understand why it is you're in that area, and understand it might not always be that way. When it's in the low, understand it's not always going to be that way. That you got to learn. You're going to heal from both. You're going to learn something from both. Um, but love ultimately has its way of finding the right time and the right balance for the right people when it's supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Rachel, with Cheyenne and Jonathan. I think they'll be together forever. Absolutely.
He does sometimes. He does. But he's
Yes.
testing you, girl. He's testing you. He's like, you know what? Good and faithful servant, daughter, I love you. You're gonna have to show. We're gonna go through some storms real quick, right? You're gonna go through some storms. Again, I tell people this. Tell people this. Look, I love God. I love it. Read the book of Job. It will give you what life is truly about. A man that had everything, a wager between the devil and God says, test him. He will prove he loves me. He proves he is a good servant, takes everything away from him except his life. Everything brings it back tenfold because he was truthful, honest, and faithful to what he loved and what he believed, and it was God. Same thing for you. Trust it. It's a hard process. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure even Job was pushing himself. I mean, even Jesus Christ was getting pushed when he was out in the while we're celebrating Lent right here on the 40 days out. There was temptation every single time. He even asked his own father before he knew he was going to die. Why? But you stay faithful to it. The wonderful things do come out of it. There's a beautiful life. There's so many things to it. Stick with it, baby. You'll get there. I promise. I felt it myself. So when does the storm stop? I don't know sometimes. We don't. We don't know. And that's the hard part about what love is, right? But again, I think it's there to give you reflection. Enjoy what you have while you have it. Be there present for it because it's not
Enjoy
guaranteed to be there tomorrow. That's why I
enjoy
tell this
every
woman
moment.
every moment with this woman, I cherish every time that I get to spend time with her because I do not know when my last moment will be, but I'll be damned if I make sure that it's not going to count. That's how I live my life. Pretty plain and simple, but it's impactful and it's too impactful to the people I need it to be. He is turning into a storm, girl. Waters will flow around you. That's the way it happens. But um, that's how again. That's how I said I had to forge myself, and I'm pretty sure we're the same way. We had to forge ourselves through a lot of stuff, but we are both truly grateful at the end of the day for each other, and that's where it counts. And I think more than anything, for any of you struggling to figure out whether or not love is for you, it is. But right now, it might not be love in the sense of the romantic partner. Maybe it's love for career. Maybe it's love for child. Maybe it's love for family. Maybe it's just love for self. Love what you do in that moment, whatever it is. Be grateful for it. It is a blessing. Um, Promise me, there are people that would trade for some of our lives in a heartbeat. Wouldn't even think twice. We do have to live and be graceful and compassionate and love and caring for ourselves, our surroundings, and everything else. And that's why I think um, that's why I love the idea of love, because it's a critical, harsh,
And
caring.
it could be here one day and gone the next,
Yeah.
you know. I know I've lost a lot of people that I loved and cared for throughout my journey in life. And you just it's every moment counts with the people in your life that you love. I mean, tell them all how much you care about them. It's
Hmm.
so important.
Yeah. Some people, again, that's why I said love for where you're at in this moment of life. Some things are only meant to be there for a season. Some things are only meant to be there for a short amount of time. I mean, I'm going to use this as an example, and maybe we'll hopefully all understand it. We know sometimes when we get a pet, whether it's a dog or cat or bird, whatever, we're probably going to outlive it. You know, where our time spending living life in adolescence from the age of 1 to 13, that's probably the normal lifespan of one of these animals. But yet they give so caringly, they love,
They annoy.
they're annoying. They're all the things, but we spend time and we give love to them because we know it's finite. We know we're gonna see their more times than not, our cycle is gonna outlast theirs. But does it stop us from wanting them, to loving, to caring, to giving? Absolutely not. Um, so I think this is how you should look at the same approach in life. The people around you understand that it's finite. We don't have, you know, it's great to plan in for the future. It's great to want to have the future, but um, just know that there is an end point and there's an end game to all of it. And one day it will happen. But until that moment, I love this woman. I love my life. I love the things around me, and I give um, wholeheartedly for who I am because I know I have to make it count. At the end of the day, I know I have to make it count. So it's why, like I tell people, don't give up on love, man. Love is a beautiful thing. It sucks sometimes. People make fun of it. People are gonna call you all kinds of things. People are gonna ridicule sometimes because you are. But to me, when you feel it, none of that matters. None of it matters. It really doesn't matter. Um, and I know, I hope, like, what the way that our love sort of radiates, it does. Thank you. That kind of hits where I was going. I hope that it illuminates enough that it inspires others to say, okay, this love is there's love out there, and it can be true and it can be honest. And I mean, we talk about it every day. We do all these things every day.
We do a lot of things together. Like,
We do.
lots of things. It's like the only time that we spend apart is when we're working. And then even then he shows up at my job twice a week to come
We
see
talk on the
me.
phone when we're on our ways to work.
Yeah.
On our way
On our way to
home.
work, on our way home, we talk on the phone. When we're in at the house, sometimes we'll cook together. Like, he'll I mean, just everything. Like, we spend a lot of time, quality time together. We just enjoy being in each other's presence.
But it's a staunch reminder to both of us, though. We had to go through the shit. We always had to. We got to, and you have to. It's a sucky process. It's again, it's like a cycle. When you get sick, and when you get sick, right, you don't feel your best. You go through, you have the coughs, the sniffles, the sniffles, the temperature, the vomiting, whatever it is, and then when you start feeling better, then you get the perspective like, oh my gosh, I can eat food again and it tastes good and I can hold it down and it tastes wonderful again. Like all these things. That's kind of how the feeling of love can be. And it usually is. It's going to suck. You got to go through it. You got to feel the crap. You got to feel terrible. But then when it starts to come, when it finally comes back around, when it finally starts rearing the way that it should, then you go, oh my gosh, this is great. It's a great feeling. I'm going on a year and I'm telling you, it's the greatest singular year of my life,
Mine too.
you know? So,
Best year ever.
and I hope, again, and it's easy to talk this way, though. That's the thing. It's easy to talk this way when you're just speaking truth, when you're speaking what comes from the heart. You don't even
Mhm.
have to make this stuff up, it just flows.
Mhm.
It's just truth.
Yeah, we didn't make a script for this.
We just kind of went tonight. We're like, we're going to go with it. And she's like, I know what I'm going to say. I'll say, okay. Um, yeah, I'm still trying to stick with giving structure because it helps, give her a little bit of comfortability. But I think she's getting to the point of where I was, where it's like I'm ready. Whatever camera goes on, I'm ready to talk about it. Like I know I can go off of my thoughts and my emotions, my experiences, and share and still be knowledgeable and get it across and be valuable to somebody. So I still do it though because then it's teaching me something which I love about myself. It's like, hey, I know how to do this. I can get better at it. It's just another skill set. But when it worked that way, had I been doing it on my own, I had to have a partner. Found the right partner. That's what made everything work out and us start doing this in the first place. So it's been wonderful. It's been an experience. It's been a learning lesson. I've done so many shows by myself. I like doing it with somebody. And I know I do, right? Like it might even help me in the future with collaborations and working with other people because I'm like, okay, this is a cool experience to have somebody's insights and share their creativity into it and bringing everything like that together. It was always a hard part for me to do that, and working with my lovely, lovely partner in love and doing all of this, it's taught me so much about, again, it taught me so much about myself I didn't quite know. And that's what I love about life. I got to learn something new simply by being in love with this woman. So, yeah. And y'all do, hey, look at that. I love this comment. Y'all
Mm,
do give me all kinds of ways to work through my things, trying to stay connected to Dustin. Absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
this is the whole part of like what it is. Um, you can take the time and really look at your life and come up with ways to say, okay, maybe I was a little harsh or a little callous, or maybe I could do this just a little bit better, right? It pushes you to become a better person. And who doesn't want that? I mean, unless you're just an asshole and say, I just love being an asshole for whatever reason.
We know people like that.
We do. We do. We do. But the whole point to me is like, who, again, 9 times out of 10, just 9 times out of 10, it feels good to become a better person, to be a better person. So when something gives you that idea and it's thought provoking enough to say, okay, I could do this, to me, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And saying, okay, you know what? Why did I do this in the first place? Why did I bring up this? It was stupid. In the end, when we introspectively go back and look on things in our lives, especially when it's with somebody we could, we lose, and it's always after the fact. Why did I do that? Like, why? It was stupid of me. It was because we don't sit there in a moment and take a moment to reflect. And even if we do say the harsh things, to go back and to say, okay, I can apologize and make it better, or I could do something to make it better. That's the whole point of why I wanted to teach people about love and talk about love, because I didn't understand it myself. Even now, I don't quite understand it myself. I don't understand every facet of it, but I'm fascinated enough to learn about it even more. And I love having these conversations with her because I do get something more out of it every single time that we do.
Yes, every conversation on and off camera. And, oh, we started watching if you haven't seen it already, we started watching Love is Blind season 6. Ooh, my goodness, there's some hot topics on there. So, we're thinking about even incorporating some, like, talk about some shows like that that are, those love shows that go online, and supposedly you're supposed to be able to fall in love without seeing each other, but people still are hung up on looks. People are hung up on looks, which is understandable to a degree. Um, so
Yes. Look, I'm gonna just tell you this. No, I'm gonna just say this, and before sorry to interrupt you, sweetie.
uh-huh.
But I will just tell you this. It proves my point of what I mean when I say love, because most of these are experiments anyway. Yeah, you know what? When you go back and look on the pure numbers, yeah, it might not look shining, but there's two people that find it and say, you know what? I just needed it enough for me. Like we created new life in this world. We've been married now for these many years. Like there were just so many things that came out of it. Yeah, it was done as a social experiment, or it was done as a way to drum up ratings and that sort of thing. But people's lives get changed because of this. And that's the wonderful thing about love. It's both good and bad. I mean, the original Bachelorette, I was looking up this the other day simply because I was fascinated by all these shows now. They're still
I
together.
got him to watch. He was like, "I've never seen shows like that." I
I
was
never.
like, "Well, I used to be kind of hooked, so I've seen a lot of them." And I just saw season 6 pop up, and I was like, I haven't been watching. I haven't seen them since season 2. I got busy with life, and I haven't watched any of them. And so when that popped up on Netflix, I was like, "Well, would you like to watch one of them?" And then we just started binging.
Yeah.
So
So again, I got fascinated with it. But the original Bachelorette, Trista and her husband Ryan, this is back in 2003. They've been together 21 years after being on that show.
Mm.
Children. I mean, a life was changed simply because of that. But that's what I think about love. Love can happen. It can happen in front of cameras. It can happen. There's just so many ways that it can and can't happen. That's what these things are sold on, is that it is probably going to fail. Okay. It can be cringe. I thought the same thing. And I got fascinated because I started looking at it differently, Sarah. I started looking at it from a point of being analytical about it.
Mhm.
Right, not so much looking into the sappiness or it's gonna be hokey, there's gonna be things that are gonna be created, but then you also have to look at the personalities involved, some of the things that we discuss on here, what they're actually going through. You're seeing it happen before your eyes, like, we sit here and we talk about things like trauma bonding, or we talk about love bombing, or all these other things, and then you start seeing it happen, you're like, "Holy shit, this is, like, really happening." Like
Yeah, we were like having continuous conversations about the couples. We're like, okay, so what do you think about Jimmy and Chelsea and and all of the drama? He thinks she looks like Megan Fox, and why would you even say that, knowing that you completely don't look like that? And so that's leaving him an impression, and it's causing him to choose her, and yeah, it's just a bunch of stuff. So we were, discussing all of it, but it was pretty funny.
It is. You just get you get some good-hearted people mixed in with a lot of toxicity, but that's just life. I mean, that's our life outside. You walk outside the door, somebody could be coming and walking in front of your house, and they could be ornery as hell, and you like, you know, what got up your crawl? It's just that's life. You run into good and bad people all the time. And it's why I say, like, these things, these shows have become fascinating to me because I look at it now, and I look at it from the perspective of wanting to understand love. Because then I go, man, why do some people put themselves in there? There's a lot of people that do it for chasing clout and all these other things, but there are the few that are actually trying
That
to
are
look for
genuine.
love, genuine. And sometimes they go on there and they do get hurt, and it sucks that you have to watch them go through it. Then you see the people that do truly find each other and love each other, and they get married, or they go off and they get engaged, whatever it is. And it's a wonderful mix of both good and bad, but it shows you it shows you the balance of how love can or cannot be in this life. And I love just looking at it and being an observer. If you're a people watcher and just love watching people on the street, it's probably right up your alley.
The Rock of Love with Brett Michaels. No, I haven't seen The Rock of Love. Is that it
Um,
must be another new one? I
um,
haven't heard of that one. I've seen like The Love Islands, The Love Is Blind. Um, there was some
Perfect
other
Match. There's
Perfect
been,
Match.
uh,
Um,
what is it? Too Hot to
I
Handle.
haven't seen Too Hot to Handle. I know of Too Hot to Handle, but I've never seen
Yeah.
that one.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I know who she's talking about. She's talking about
What
Bret
is that
Michaels.
song?
He's the lead singer of Poison. So he did this
Oh.
show. I remember briefly. So he did a show where he's a he's a celebrity. He's a celebrity from the '90s or from the '80s. Excuse me.
Mhm,
He was lead singer of a punk hair metal band, and he
mhm,
went on there and he was trying to find love, and he was dating all these women, or I think that's kind of where it
mhm.
was. Um, it was so bad.
Okay, we'll look
I
at
need to look at it, but
it.
yeah, there's just so many of them now because people are fascinated with it.
People are fascinated with love. It's like a hot reality TV show. Like even my students, they were talking about it and I was like, "Oh, okay." So like they're all, in high school and they're watching these shows. There's a huge fascination with, can it work? Is it sustainable? Marriage, and one of my classes right now in sociology is marriage and family. And so I've been reading like already read 2 books over it, but basically like the historical side of what marriage started at and what it is today. And one fact is like 90% of people are going to get married, 50% of those people are going to end in divorce. There's a lot more cohabitation today than there ever used to be. There was a stigma with that, in the 50s, and it slowly started to change mid 60s and beyond, where people would live together, and birth control changed things. I mean, there's a lot of things that have gone into relationships, but the one thing that stayed constant is marriage. Like people have this high value and ideal of marriage, and it hasn't gone away. People fight for it, so it's something that I don't know if it's ever gonna go away.
I don't think it would ever will because
Yeah.
it's based in the idea of God and religion and spirituality, and um, people want to find that person that's their soulmate, they're equally yoked, whatever it is that they seek, because it's just human nature. We were designed this way. Whether you think it's man and woman, woman and woman, we still want somebody. We still want a partner. There's still a yearning for it. Um, so yeah, I don't think it's ever going to go away. It's going to be always woven into the fabric of human existence. It's just the way it is. Those things are going to be kind of tied there. It's life, death, marriage. Um, what is it? The what reproduction, because that's just how we have to continue on as a species, as human beings. We have to reproduce. So you're always going to be involved when it's love and it's marriage and just everything that goes around with it, because it's again, it's part of our nature. We're drawn to it. We don't even know it. We don't even know it sometimes when we're young, and it hits us when we see a girl and we're like, "Oh my god, what is going on? Why am I feeling this way?" Like I remember that. Like thinking, "Oh my god."
Yeah, but then in my sexualities class, they were talking about, oh, well, man wasn't meant to be with one person for the rest of their life. Some are meant to be poly, some are meant to have multiple relationships, some are, this and that. And so, like, people have also differing viewpoints on it. But the thing is, like, marriage is something that's been constant. Like it's something that has been around and still around, and people still want to do it. I don't know if it's for the show of it. Everybody see me looking, walking down the aisle in my cute dress, or if it's some type of symbolic thing. But of course, with religion, yes, it's written that marriage is what you're supposed to do. But not everybody is religious, but they still get married. So
Yes, they do.
marriage is definitely like, I don't know.
That's
I
why I
don't
said
really
it's
see
one of
it
those
going away.
institutions. It's just not going to go away. Right there. That's why I said you can always you can always bank on that there's going to be marriage somewhere. People are going to just do it. They want to
Yeah.
celebrate love. They always do. They want to celebrate their union, whatever that is. No matter whatever capacity, however they do it, however their spirituality celebrates it, however they celebrate
Yes, Sarah's gonna come. How far away are you, Sarah?
it.
Where you live?
So yeah, she's not too far away.
Are
She's
you in Texas?
yeah,
She's in
like
Texas.
in the Fort Worth area, I think.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Then she can come.
come to the wedding.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I
No,
know
that's
Rachel's gonna be there.
yeah. We'll have people. We'll have our people
Yes.
show come in there and be the part of everything. Um, but yeah, that's again, man. It's why this topic has been one. It's been on my heart for the last 3.5 years. Um, in really wanting to discover it, talk about it, learn more about it, and then bring it to fruition. What's happening now? Um, because I always thought in the back of my mind whenever I would write down ideas, because I've always known I've been a hopeless romantic from very early on. I knew I was. And we will live stream it. We'll get somebody to live stream
Yes.
for all the people who can't. But yeah, it's gonna be fun, and I think we'll definitely have a good time when it comes to just talking about it and celebrating our love with everybody who wants to be a part of that. I think that's the whole point in inspiring and wanting to keep people uh, here, like showing up and wanting to talk about it, and learn more about it. Um, yeah, we will definitely bring more on that pretty soon. But um, I guess we can close up by saying, and we won't be back next week.
Yeah, well, it's spring break, so we're gonna
We're
take
gonna
a
we're
little
gonna
break.
we're gonna take a break because we have the kiddos, and you know,
And then it's gonna well, no, that's the weekend after.
yeah. So no, but we're gonna take a week off because we're gonna be with our kids and spend time with them, and that's kind of a decision that we wanted to do. But we will
When
we
is the oh, wait, keep talking. I gotta
but
check my calendar.
yeah, but we will be doing. I think we'll try to finally do another love talk episode that following Saturday.
So I was
And
looking at the date for that because isn't that hold on.
no,
Okay.
it won't be.
So that's the 30th,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
No, the 23rd.
The 23rd.
23rd. Okay. Oh wait.
Like we'll have them this
Hold on.
weekend.
So we have them this weekend.
It'll
We
be
don't
like
have them
it'll be like the week of the 15th.
15th. We have them. Okay, the 15th. Yeah.
It's the weekend of the 15th. We won't have them. We won't have them
No.
like
So are we gonna do one that Saturday?
yeah.
Okay, we'll do one that
We'll do a
Saturday.
love talk episode on Saturday since we missed out on one, but we want to keep you guys still in the loop of everything, of course.
Yeah. So we just won't be on Tuesday or Thursday of next week, but we will on Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we will return. So we
Mhm.
don't want you guys to go away. We'll definitely keep you guys in the loop. And yes, it is spring break, so we're gonna be
Yeah.
lots going on. Exactly. So plus she's got a lot of classes. We're trying to get her through like um getting her classes taken care of. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of overload. And I know the weight of doing all of these. Like trust me, I did them for so long. So I understand when she's like, oh, you know, I told her let's hit the brake a little bit because let's focus on the things we need to focus on first, and that's making sure she keeps her good GPA. She gets all her things turned in on time. Like I don't want to pressure her into doing any of that. So
And Rachel says she's gonna put on makeup and a dress for our wedding.
nice. Hey, I'm all for that. I want to see that happen. We're gonna make it happen. So, all right, guys. I guess in closing, is there anything you want to anything you want to say, baby?
Well, I want to say, may your life be filled
Oh
with
yes, laughter,
laughter,
smart,
sparks,
and
and
genuine
genuine
connection.
connection. And remember, love is a beautiful journey. So
Keep
keep
unwrapping
unwrapping
it
it
with
with
open
open
hearts
hearts
and
and
open
open
minds.
minds.
So, and again, don't forget to head over to our YouTube channel. We are always trying to build our subscribers over there. We got great videos.
Yes.
I've been working very
We
hard.
have double digits now. We have 20, no, 30, was it
25,
20?
five
Is there
subscribe,
25?
25 subscribers, and we're
Yay.
going more.
So we need
So
it to grow.
so
So tell your friends and
friends, share
family.
videos. I've been working tirelessly on trying to get that thing up and running and optimizing it so that you guys can enjoy the videos and the stuff that we're dropping on the there'll be more stuff coming soon. Trust me, I'm working on all that stuff right now. But please, if you know somebody, share the link, head them over to our YouTube channel, tell them about Unrut Love, what we do here, why we love talking about it, and why we love you guys. So, you got anything else you want to add, baby doll?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let me hear it.
I gotta tell you this. It's a like a huge,
You say, oh, a huge announcement. Okay,
yes,
here we go.
huge.
Man, I wish I would have played my drum roll on my thing. I could wait for it. But okay, we got a huge announcement. Go ahead and tell them, baby.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready for
Okay, here it comes. I love you.
it. I love you too, baby. Come here. All right, we double dipped, guys. You get two for the price of one on that one. All right. We will see you guys next Saturday. Right? Yeah,
Yeah,
next
yeah.
Saturday.
Next Saturday.
Not this weekend. Okay. You guys stay safe, man. Have try to again live a beautiful life. It's such a wonderful one. Just enjoy how everything in your life is kind of showing right now and know that good things will come, okay? So
Yes.
until then, we'll talk to you guys very, very soon. So I guess good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.